What's up guys, EJK here, and this video is going to be a video between INnoVation and Flash played on Deadwing. Now, this was a pretty long game, so I'm going to break this video down into two parts. The first part, this part, will be going over the mid-game setups for each player, and the second part will be specifically geared towards how to approach the late game situation in TVT. A little about the openers right now. INnoVation did go for a 12 racks 13 gas. Flash went for a 13 gas 12 racks. Flash is opening up a very standard Reaper first. He gets the factory and then he gets the Reaper. So the Reaper doesn't come out immediately after the barracks. That's just something to note. I have been doing this build wrong because I get the Reaper out immediately and then I delay the factory. But no, you have to start the factory and delay the Reaper first, which makes sense. So now I do that. INnoVation, since he went for the 12 barracks and no Reaper, he opts to go for a SCV scout. He sends it out around the 2-minute mark. I believe it's with your 14th SCV when it pops out. He scouts his opponent's base, sees that there was a gas first opener from Flash. Now, both players, a little bit of a spoiler alert, but this game is purely for educational purposes only, not for a hype factor or surprise elements or whatever. This game is going to be a mech game played out between both players, and the reason why I like this game a lot is because it shows two very diverse game plans clashing with each other in a battle of chess across Deadwing, one of the largest maps in our map pool. That's something Day9 used to say, but no, Deadwing is not in our map pool anymore. INnoVation's depot wall off with his barracks is a little bit interesting. Not sure. I think the reason why he did that was because he just wanted to deny the Reaper, I believe. I'm not even sure why he did that. Maybe it's so that his Marines wouldn't be too spread thin if two Reapers jumped up through over here and then two Hellions poked up there. But Flash was able to see the tech lab and the starport. So this wall off indicates that it wasn't to deny scouting purposes, but more of a positional thing versus multi-reapers. That's what it seems to point towards. What Flash is doing here with his Hellion and his Reaper, he controls the watchtower, then he has a Hellion there and he has a Reaper over here. So if there was any Banshee to come out, it would be around now. And if INnoVation didn't take a really long way around the map, like going through the watchtower, going through the center of the map, and then going to the natural, the Banshee would be scouted and killed before Cloak finishes. You have to be really on top of it from both players. Like, if you react fast enough, you can get the Banshee away in time, or if you don't kite the Viking properly and you miss a stutter, the Banshee can get away without Cloak. But usually that is not the case. So now it becomes apparent to us that both players are in fact opening up for mech. I like what Flash does, getting the fast second factory and then opting for a very fast siege tank. Now what this does is it allows him to... Oh, and we have to mention that he is cutting Hellions as well. So, although he has 2 factories and a starport with a reactor, he's only making a siege tank and 2 Vikings right now. He purposefully has money for Hellions, but he's not making them. He adds on a 3rd command center. Upon seeing with that Viking scout a Viking and a Raven, and INnoVation's setup and how he didn't have a very large siege tank count, it's pretty safe to assume that the Terran player is going for a fast expand behind this. Flash getting a nice little scout off to confirm that INnoVation is in fact going mech as well. He does this scout before he puts down the third command center though, so this third command center was going down either way. And the reason why Flash is making a lot of siege tanks earlier on, again, he's still producing no Hellions either. He's instead, well, now he's producing Hellions, but he instead wanted those extra minerals that the Hellions could have provided into constant SCV production, faster gas mining at the third and fourth, and of course that third command center going down. Oh, but the reason, okay, so the reason why Flash is making a lot of siege tanks is because in his game versus MMA on Echo, MMA went for a very fast third command center as well, and he hit a timing at about I think it was around the 13-minute mark, 12 to 13-minute mark. Flash had just taken his third command center, and he had put himself in a defensive positioning on the map so that he could secure his third base. And MMA just walks up, throws down a bunch of auto turrets, drops out 4 Marauders from Medevac, and just A-moves Flash. And the reason why this was so successful was because Flash had only gotten 2 siege tanks by about the 12 to 13-minute mark. Now in this case, we see he already has 3, a 4th one on the way. He'll have 4 siege tanks by the 11-minute mark. So this really bolsters his siege tank count so that he has an ample amount so that he just won't straight up die to anything immediately. And this also goes into Flash's later game plan as well, which is to go for a fast air transition. This little trade-off, really nice by INnoVation because his Raven was out first. He got a Raven and then a Viking. Flash got a Viking and then a Raven. And so having that Raven out first before the Viking allows you to have enough energy for 2 auto turrets and a PDD. And the auto turrets do wonders against Viking fights because of the fact that they go through PDDs, they can target PDDs, they also offer a small zoning escape route as well. Auto turrets and Hunter Seeker missiles generally are just better in this matchup than point defense drones, which we'll see in the part 2 of this game as well. It was a fairly equal trade for both players, resetting the air count. I would say it's even more favorable to Flash simply because he wasn't focused. He's prioritizing building up his air even more, and by eliminating his opponents and resetting his, but starting to rebuild his a lot faster than his opponent, it's going to put Flash in a much more dominant unit position or unit typing combination with his higher Raven count towards the later stages of the game. We see here Flash is only on 2 factories. This is his 3rd factory going down, and then he immediately adds a 2nd and 3rd starport before his 4th and 5th factories. INnoVation, on the other hand, decides to go for his 4th and 5th factories and then a 4th base, playing very standard, whereas Flash, he has a very high siege tank count. He has air superiority, or at least an even matchup in air versus air, so that his opponent has no way to really attack into him. And so these 2 starports by Flash and the 4th base, all very safe options by him because he is in turtle mode. We're going to see INnoVation's supply skyrocket over here because he's primarily focused on making a ground mech composition, whereas Flash is going to take he's going to take his time to max out. And he's going to max out with the right type of units that he wants, instead of just getting to a max out point. So we see here Flash already at 8 siege tanks. The critical amount you want in like a 200-200 army is about like 12 to 15 at the very minimum, because then they start to crap on Thors, and you can't really do anything against the siege tanks. The counter, as we'll see later on. Oh, actually, I should probably stop this in a little bit. Yeah, so I'll stop this here because or I'll just go through like why I'm stopping it here. So we've gone from the early to mid game. Flash went for a faster third command center. INnoVation went for a much more standard Blue Flame, Hellion, Viking opener with a delayed third. One thing to note is that Flash hasn't gotten Blue Flame yet, whereas INnoVation has already researched Blue Flame technology. And this is all because Flash's game plan is to get a very high Raven Viking count, get a very scary, much more high quality army composition than his opponent, rather than cheaper, less good ground units, I guess. That's one way to put it.